Good to have you here. We've got you for 10 minutes. So thank you for coming to present to the committee. You may use that time as you wish. If you want to leave us time for questions, you may hand it to you now. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for hearing Concerned Farmers New Zealand. We are farmers. Mike and I are sheep and beef farmers from Banks Peninsula. I've also been a veterinary surgeon for over 40 years. Nick is a sheep and beef farmer from the King Country after 30 years as a dairy farmer. Concerned Farmers was formed just over 2 months ago, and we are here representing over 150 farmers and growers who are concerned about this bill's rushed process, the lack of involvement of farmers and growers in decision-making, and how the bill relates to the field use of GMOs in primary production. We support the bill in regard to medical and contained uses. However, we wish to address the high-risk field use of GMOs in primary production with the committee. And by field use, I'm referring to outdoor trials, commercial cultivation and farming of GM plants and animals. There are 6 issues we want to draw the committee's attention to that the committee absolutely must take the time needed to get right with farmers and growers. Economic risks and benefits, traceability. Farmers, growers and the food sector must be involved in decisions on all field use of agricultural GMOs and what conditions should apply if approved. Maintaining New Zealand's sovereign decision-making ability based on our unique conditions and strategic objectives as a high-value food exporter, financial accountability and segregation. Moving to farmers, growers and food companies being part of decisions on all field uses, and taking grass as the GM grass as an example, a GM field trial could be approved without the need to consult with the end users, that is farmers, the very ones who are going to have to make this work and the very ones who will bear the cost if it does not. This is not acceptable in our opinion. The bill must ensure that farmers, growers and food companies are part of decision-making around field uses, including outdoor trials of agricultural GMOs, by making all field uses licensed activities, removing the regulator's discretion to consult, and requiring hearings, not just written submissions, as a more effective way for farmers to participate. Good decision-making must involve those who will be most affected. I hand over to Nick.
Thank you. Concerned farmers are alarmed by the lack of economic analysis behind this bill. Making sure the business case stacks up is basic to any viable business, let alone decisions which have the potential to impact every New Zealander. As a farmer, one of my non-negotiable goals is to align positive economic and ecological outcomes. What the Select Committee can and should do is to make sure that economic risks are part of the risk assessment. Officials say that it places unnecessary burden on scientists to recognise market and trade risks in decisions about GMOs. But this regime has got to work for food and fibre producers as well. Excuse me. And you've heard repeatedly from farming that economic risks are key, that as a country we can't make good decisions about field use of GMOs in our productive lands unless we factor in market and trade issues. As farmers and growers, we have worked over many decades to produce food and fibre which is respected, trusted and valued here and overseas. As an exporting nation, consumer is king. Our marketers and exporters are leveraging off our current status in farming systems to secure market access and add value to our products. Trust carries value. The bill must set us up well so that we can make decisions that don't see the global point of difference we have worked so hard for thrown out with the bathwater. So we urge you to listen to farmers and growers on this bill and ensure economic risks and benefits are part of the risk assessment. Thank you.
Good morning. I want to draw the committee's attention to 2 points that must be addressed in this bill. First, it is essential that all GMOs, including gene-edited ones, are regulated for verification and identification, and also for segregation and traceability in the supply chain. I think you've heard that from just about every major primary sector body, so I'll leave that point there. The second is around contamination and the cost of compliance for non-GM producers. Many farmers are concerned that they're going to have more costs just to stand still. We've seen no work on this, and there's nothing in the bill or the process to date to give us confidence that the government has understood the issues or intends to spend the time working with farmers to get it right. We're told coexistence works overseas, so it should work here. Apart from a grass developed in the US for golf courses, which escaped from field trials and is now a major contamination headache, we're not aware of any GM grasses grown commercially anywhere in the world. And with grasses used so differently than crops, New Zealand will be heading into the unknown. I heard a submitter tell you that grass seed spreads only 24 metres. There's many ways that grass seed can travel well beyond the paddock that was planted in. You've got wind, birds, on sheep's back. We cut bales of hay all around the countryside, and it contains a lot of grass seed. Non-GM supply is not just for organic farmers. Many conventional farmers are already supplying GM-sensitive markets. For the last 15 years, every year we've been signing a supplier declaration to actually state that we haven't been feeding any products that contain GMOs to our sheep and cattle. This is a requirement for premium markets. Coexistence will be very difficult for pastoral farmers with GM grasses. These grasses, they will be the hardest test for this bill, which is why the committee must address the 6 points that we've submitted on. Thank you. Happy to try and answer any questions.
No, thank you very much. And we still have a bit of time, which is fantastic. Steve, you have a question.
Sure. Yeah, thank you very much for your substantial and very clear submission. You must be greatly concerned that non-GMO farmers are going to be expected to prove that they have not been contaminated by GE. In this version of the bill, the regulatory impact statement made it clear that the cost of avoiding contamination will fall to the non-GMO farmers. What do you think about the fairness of that, aside from the practicality of managing traceability and so-called coexistence.
Well, initially, and it may be forever, that, a lot of, that is actually going to be the majority of farmers.
Exactly.
We don't know what the uptake is because we don't actually have the products here, to use at this stage anyway. So yeah, look, it's totally unreasonable to expect, those costs should fall for someone not using the product.
And kind of supplement. Yeah. And how do you feel about the idea that the government's even countenancing that that's a reasonable position to take, that all existing farmers who are non-GMO farmers are going to carry the burden of cost for protecting themselves from the potential handful of farmers who are using GMO, ryegrass, or other products?
Well, I see it's quite an issue especially with the exempt varieties of gene-edited crops or grasses, because our markets actually they want to know whether there's GMOs in what we're actually marketing.
Yeah.
So I think for us to actually pretend they're not there or hide them under the table is just actually going to be asking for trouble.
Yeah.
Detection methods, some may be hard to detect at the moment. Detection methods will improve. I mean, I'd liken it to drug checks, in sport. They thought they'd get away with it. There was a need. So the detection methods improved. And I have no doubt detection methods will improve in this field as well.
We've got 1 minute left. I'll just move over to Deborah quickly. Here's the question.
I know I don't look like it, but I was born on a farm, but have family farmed around Pongamomina and through into the King Country and things like that. So they're cheating there. Look, if I put a gloss on it, on your submission, it seems that you would be okay with the use of gene technology, provided it's very, very carefully regulated and it's all regulated, not just without something. Is that correct?
I think it's unreasonable to expect any contamination.
Yeah.
The testing that you talk about, from a non-GMO perspective, that could be on a regular basis because we're selling product that has trust and integrity. And do we test once a week? When you look at the potential of contamination. So to answer your question,
It costs a lot to do that.
And I think from the RIS statement initially, they weren't able to give any indication of cost, but it implied they could be substantial.
Right.
And our understanding is, a lot of these tests are quite costly, even though they are still under development.
Yeah.
And we're at time.
Okay, all right.
I know Carlos has got a question too. Thanks.
Yeah, okay, no worries. Thank you.
Apologies to both of you. Thank you very much to the 3 of you for coming and presenting this session. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, so we've got a couple minutes left. John, take it away.
Can I? I mean, so they said a lot of things. There's no point in repeating. A couple of things to springboard off though. So they're talking about traceability and making sure the contaminations falls to someone being liable for it and stuff. And they're talking about plants and animals. Can we just remember, you can't do this with microbes and fungi and yeasts that could also be released into the environment under this bill. So, I mean, you can definitely spot most big animals and you can probably do something with the plants. But once you're talking about allowing unregulated SDN1, no, I mean, it'd be great when Professor Heinemann comes on. I don't know if anyone knows what an SDN1 and an SDN2 microbe or fungi might actually be like. I mean, I think it's a pretty big kind of universe of that, like a little change that could be done like this in a microbe. Anyway, so it's all very much bigger than they're making out. If you want to know about the GE ryegrass and the farmer earlier, we have solutions. The mixed forage, the organic farming. The article to watch is from a media newsroom, and it's called "The Grass Isn't Greener." And it was published about a year ago. And they did ask the question, how have the trials with the ryegrass gone? And it hasn't gone well. And in fact, one of the issues was a new allergen suspected in the plant. So they withdrew the application and were going to fix up this new allergen. We don't want people to think, they've got a new grass in New Zealand, it might have a new allergen in it. I mean, allergens throughout the food system are absolutely the likely outcome of this exclusion from regulation of a whole range of gene-edited products, because they can be assumed to be safe, but they can't be assumed to be safe. So this is the big bad. This is the pretense that the scientists know what they're doing, that these things will be safe for humans and they can be ignored entirely, and that they know what's going to be safe for the environment. But they're going to be ignored entirely and unregulated. That cannot stand. So they won't be. I mean, to be fair, they won't be. I can promise you that. If they are, then we can all go home and just give up on everything. Because if you don't allow regulation of gene editing in the open environment, which is what this bill does, you're on a pathway to disaster. And especially with the final thing, I know we've run out of time, the mandatory approvals by 2 other agencies overseas with an allow mandatory approval here. One of the themes is the medical uses and the vaccines, etc. But the other one is just any old plant or animal or microbe that an overseas approved person, a couple of approved, might end up being used here automatically. Complete nonsense, guys. We've got to fight this bill.
John, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have your insight I look forward to seeing you again in the future. And with that, guys, we're going to move on to the next segment.
Kia kaha. All the best. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok.